She came to me with $10,000 cash, a Kajabi funnel, and big plans for her Q4 launch. And I told her no, not yet. Maybe not ever. At least not with me. And here's the thing. 6 months later, she sent me a message thanking me for turning her away. Today, I want to tell you that story and another one that went very differently. Because after managing close to 7 million in ad spend for course creators, I've learned that the difference between the people who scale beautifully and the people who burn through their budget in weeks usually comes down to just 3 numbers. And most people have never thought about any of them. So whether you're thinking about running ads yourself, hiring an ads manager, or you're just curious about whether paid traffic is even in your future, stick around, because by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly where you stand. Hello, and welcome to the Launch Lounge podcast. I am your host, Salome Shellac, and if we haven't met yet, hello and welcome. It is an honor and a privilege for me to have you here and to be in your ears today. I want to give a huge shout out to Tara Bruni from the United Kingdom. Tara left me a fantastic review on Apple Podcasts. She said, fantastic, absolutely brilliant podcast, potentially the best one I've ever subscribed to. Holy moly, Tara, those words are possibly the kindest, best compliment I have ever received. Thank you incredibly so much, so very, very much for that beautiful, beautiful review. And if you want to leave a review for me as well, please go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen, and leave me a review. It helps us to be found by other online course creators who are looking to grow and scale their businesses using good marketing tactics and some simple to implement ads. So, Tara, thank you. I appreciate you, and I wanted to give you a special shout out today. Now, Apple tells me that 97% of the people who follow my show listen to the episodes. So if you're listening and you haven't yet hit the follow or subscribe button, please do so now. Whether you listen on Apple or Spotify or you watch on YouTube, when you follow or subscribe, you're more likely to know when we publish new content to help you build your freedom empire. On today's show, I want to share 2 very different stories with you. But before I tell you these stories, I need to address something I see all the time in the course creators world. There's this assumption that ads are somehow the next level. That once you've got a course and you've made some sales, the natural next step is to add paid traffic. And then, of course, sit back, watch the sales roll in and scale, baby, scale. And I get why people think that. It seems logical, right? You've got the thing that sells, ads get more eyeballs on the thing that sells, and more eyeballs equal more sales, right? Simple math. Except it's not. Ads are an accelerant. Here's the truth about ads that nobody wants to hear. Ads are an accelerant. They amplify what's already working. If your funnel converts, ads pour fuel on that fire and it scales beautifully. But if your funnel doesn't convert, you're just burning cash faster. Ads don't fix a broken funnel. They expose it expensively. The tricky part is that most course creators don't actually know where their funnel works and where it fails because they've never looked at the numbers that actually matter. They know they made sales. They know people bought, but they don't know any of the conversion rates in that funnel that would tell them whether their funnel can handle cold traffic at scale. And that's a problem. So today I'm going to share two stories with you. One about a client I turned away and why she thanked me for it later, and another about a client who was ready before she even knew it. And then I'm going to give you the three numbers that separate these two people so you can figure out exactly which camp you're in. Let's start with the 10K that almost disappeared. She was a health coach and not a struggling one. She was already making mid six figures with her one-on-one coaching. She had launched her online course twice and to what she called modest results. She made sales. People loved the course. She got loads of testimonials and she was ready to scale. She'd built out her webinar funnel, had a solid lead magnet, and the whole setup looked great on paper. And then she came to me, excited and ready to go all in on ads for her next launch. She had $10,000 in cash set aside specifically for ad spend. On paper, she seemed like our perfect client. So I eagerly booked a call with her to get more information about her funnel and her data. And that's when I noticed the red flags. When I asked her about her launch data, and more specifically, her conversion rates, she wasn't entirely sure of the numbers. I wanted to know things like, what was your overall conversion rate? What was your webinar conversion rate? What percentage of the people who registered actually showed up? And she didn't know. I asked her, did most of your leads come from your email list or come from your Instagram following? She wasn't sure. She just couldn't give me any data to analyze to know that her funnel was working as well as it should be before we opened the floodgates of cold traffic. Now look, when she launched, she did make money. So I completely understand why she wanted to use ads to grow and scale. That makes sense. If you're listening to this, you may even think the same thing. But here's where I saw red flags that most other ads managers, well, at least ones who don't have nearly a decade of experience running ads specifically for course creators, would see. Here's what most course creators don't realize. Selling your course to your warm audience, your email list, your Instagram followers, people who've been following you for months or even years, that's a huge milestone. You should celebrate that. But selling to people who've been waiting for your course, who've been on your list for 6 months, who watch every Instagram story, that is not the same as selling to complete strangers who heard of you for the first time yesterday when your webinar ad interrupted their scroll. Warm traffic and cold traffic are not the same kettle of fish. And the biggest mistake I see course creators make is going from selling to a completely warm audience in one launch to a completely cold audience in the next. That is not scaling. That is gambling. This is exactly what happens when course creators come to me and say, ads just don't work for my business. No, what happened is you try to sell to strangers the same way you sell to fans, and it doesn't work like that. So back to my health coach. What she did know was that she hadn't used any ads, not to build her email list, which was sitting at a healthy 5,000 people, and not during any of her live launches, which told me that all the sales she made during her 2 launches came solely from warm traffic. Actually, not just warm, hot, on fire. People who had been waiting for this. And there were more red flags too. Her course was priced at $497. She was hoping to get leads between $5 and $10 each, which is not unrealistic. but she'd never actually calculated what she could afford to pay for a lead and still be profitable. And that 10K, it was essentially her entire marketing budget for the year. She wanted to spend all of it straight on webinar ads for her next launch. No list building leading up to the launch, just straight to webinar registration ads. And here's the problem with that approach. If she spent this money on webinar leads, only to find out that her webinar show-up rate for cold traffic was lower than expected, or her webinar conversion rate for cold audience wasn't as strong as it was for warm traffic, she would have paid me $10,000 just to hand her data showing that her funnel wasn't ready for cold traffic. And in my book, that is a giant waste of money. So I said no. Not because I didn't want the business, but because I could see exactly what was about to happen. If I had taken her money, I would have been paid to prove her funnel wasn't ready. That's not a partnership. That's expensive data collection. I'd rather turn down the money and help her get ready first. So here's what I told her. This isn't a no forever. It's a not yet. I recommended she ran her next launch organically, but this time, track everything. I also helped her get started with some simple list building ads that she set up herself and showed her how to tag her leads so she'd know which ones came from paid traffic versus her organic effort. Because here's the thing, paid traffic uses money as a resource, and money can be scaled. Organic traffic uses your time and your energy, and that cannot be scaled. So she needed to know, when I send cold traffic to my funnel, how does it actually perform? I gave her the specific numbers to watch and to track closely, and I suggested she come back to me when she had completed her next launch with list building ads running for at least 4 to 6 weeks before her launch. 6 months later, she messaged me. She'd done 2 more organic launches, tracked her numbers religiously, and discovered something important. Her webinar conversion rate was a mere 1.2%, which meant she would need insanely cheap leads to be profitable at her price point, like unrealistically cheap. So she decided to raise her price. And then she restructured her offer, made it more compelling. She worked on her webinar and she got her conversion rate to 4%. Then she was ready. And when she eventually ran ads with us, she scaled to 80K in her next launch. And over the course of 3 years, we helped her grow over $1 million in revenue per year. That 10K that she wanted to spend back when she first came to me, it would have been gone in 6 weeks with nothing to show for it. Waiting until she was ready and knowing exactly what to track to be confident she was ready made all the difference. If you're a successful course creator, coach, or online expert who's ready to stop being the bottleneck in your own growth, listen up. We're currently accepting applications for 2 spots in our Meta Ads agency. What makes us different? We're not just your ads team, we're your growth partners who help you navigate the whole picture. Your funnel strategy, your customer journey, and your scaling roadmap. We dive deep into your data to make sure every marketing dollar works harder for you. If you're doing at least 10K per month in revenue, have a proven offer that converts, and you're ready to invest at least 3K monthly in ads to scale strategically, we'd love to talk. We only have 2 spots available, and they will go fast. This is for you if you want expert guidance and proven strategies that deliver predictable results. Go to thelaunchlounge.com/agency to apply now. Now let me tell you about someone very different. Let's call her Emma. Emma had been running her evergreen funnel organically for about 18 months. She was a business coach for creative entrepreneurs, and she had a signature program she'd launched several times and then turned it into an evergreen funnel. She was getting consistent sales. Nothing explosive, but steady, a steady return on ad spend of about 3 each week. She had excellent testimonials and a solid offer. And people loved her stuff. So when I met with her, I was surprised that she came to me almost apologetically. She said, "I don't know if I'm ready for ads yet. I feel like I should have everything more figured out first." So I asked her a few questions. What's your webinar conversion rate? About 6% of registrants buy. That's good. What's your average cart value with your upsells? Around $1,200. Wow. Do you know what percentage of people who hit your checkout page actually complete the purchase? Last time I checked, it was 65%, she said. I almost laughed. Emma was more ready than 90% of the people who come to me confident that they're ready. The most ready clients I've ever worked with are usually the ones who don't think they're fully ready. Meanwhile, the ones who come in guns blazing, ready to drop 20K tomorrow, they usually need another 6 months and a little bit of guidance. Because readiness isn't about confidence. It is about data. The client who can tell me her conversion rate, her average cart value, and her checkout completion rate, and a few other numbers without looking it up, she's ready. The one who says, I just know my stuff sells and I want more eyeballs on it, she's not there yet. Here's what made Emma different from most people who come to me. It wasn't that she was a numbers person. She had just been paying attention, tracking it, and putting it in a spreadsheet. 18 months of tracking her funnel meant that she could answer those questions without hesitation. But the real differentiator, she had 6 months of ad budgets set aside. Money that wouldn't hurt her business if it took time to optimize her funnel. She wasn't betting the farm on ads working immediately. And she had realistic expectations. She wasn't expecting to be profitable in 1 week. She was already profitable, and she knew it was going to take some time to scale. So we started working together, and we started slow. We tested some audiences. We let the algorithm learn. We didn't panic when the first 2 weeks looked messy, because that's what the first 2 weeks always looks like. Within 90 days, she had a profitable evergreen machine. And the reason it worked wasn't because I'm some kind of ads genius. Well, I am. It's because the foundation was solid before we added fuel. Emma had done the unsexy work, and it paid off. So here's what I want you to take away from these 2 stories. These are the 3 numbers that tell you if you're ready to unleash massive amounts of cold traffic on your funnel. Number 1, your funnel conversion rate, your overall funnel conversion rate. This is the percentage of people who enter your funnel and end up buying. For a webinar funnel, the key metric is, of everyone who registers for the webinar, what percentage purchases? Not just attendees, registrants. Industry benchmarks vary, but here's a general guide. Below 1%, your funnel needs work before you add traffic. 1 to 3%, you're in the it might work with some optimization territory. 3% or higher, you've got something worth scaling. If you don't know this number, you're not ready for ads. Full stop. Because you cannot optimize what you cannot measure. So here's your homework. Go back through your last launch or your evergreen data. Pull the numbers. Total registrations divided by total sales equals your overall conversion rate. Write it down. Know it off by heart. Number 2, your maximum cost per acquisition. That's a mouthful. This is the most you can afford to pay to acquire a new customer and still be profitable. Here's the simple formula. Take your course price, subtract your costs and your desired profit margin, and what's left is your maximum cost per acquisition. Let me give you an example. Say your course is $997. You want to keep 60% as profit. That leaves about $400 for acquisition costs. Now work backwards. If your funnel converts at 3%, you need roughly 33 leads to make a sale. $400 divided by 33 means you can afford to pay about $12 per lead. Is that realistic for your niche? If yes, great, the math works. If your niche typically sees $25 leads, you have a problem. You either need to increase your conversion rate or you need to increase your price. Most people set ad budgets based on what they can afford to lose, not on what actually makes mathematical sense. So if you haven't done this calculation, you're not investing in ads. You're gambling. Number 3, build your runway. Ads are not a set and forget strategy. They require testing and optimization and patience. The algorithm needs time to learn, and you need time to test creatives and maybe audiences. Not so much audiences nowadays, more creative, but some audiences. And maybe you need to test messaging. Here's my general rule. You need at least 90 days of ad spend that you can commit without needing immediate return on investment to survive. And most of the time, I recommend you start that 90 days with list building ads. If you're counting on ads to save a struggling launch next month, you're setting yourself up for panic decisions and wasted spend. This is also about managing your own emotional runway. Can you watch your ads run at a loss for 2, 3, 6, 12 weeks while you're optimizing, while you're just building your list, without pulling the plug in a panic? If not, you will sabotage your own campaigns. I've seen it happen dozens of times. The clients who scale are the ones who can hold their nerve during the optimization phase. And that requires both a cash runway and also an emotional runway. So here's the honest truth. Most course creators who think they're ready for ads aren't. Not because they're not smart or capable, but because they haven't done the unsexy work of knowing their numbers and building the foundation. And here's the thing, that is actually good news because it means the path forward is clear. It's not, I hope ads will work. It's not, let's throw money at Facebook and see what happens. It's, get your conversion rate solid, know your numbers, build your runway, and then scale with confidence. If you're listening to this and you realize you've got some work to do first, that's okay. That's not failure, that's clarity. That's you being smarter than most people who just throw money at ads and then tell me they feel like it's a gamble and they wonder why it didn't work. And if you're listening to this thinking, actually, I do know my numbers. My funnel does convert. Maybe I am ready. Then maybe you are. And right now, our agency team has 2 spots available to work with an extraordinary course creator like Emma, who are ready to unlock massive growth and scale their live or evergreen funnels in 2026. If you've listened to this episode and you think you're in the right place to work with us, I'd love to hear from you. Go to thelaunchlounge.com/agency to apply to work with our ads team today. What's coming up next week? Last week, I told you I'm developing a series of episodes for you all about growing and scaling your business. I asked you to email me at podcast@thelaunchlounge.com and tell me what you want me to talk about in this series. And boy, did you guys respond. I love reading your emails. And I want you to email me telling me what you want to learn because this show is for you. And this is your best free resource to learn how to grow and scale your online courses business. So next week, we're going to talk about what a 50K per month online courses business really looks like. When you're making 50K per month, that's about $600,000 per year. So not quite $1 million business yet, but a healthy 6-figure business. And a lot of you told me your goal isn't to become an overnight millionaire. Your goal is to make enough money so that you can buy your time freedom and to do more of the things that matter to you and less of the things that keeps you locked to your computer. So in next week's episode, I'm going to give you a few examples of what my business has looked like at 50K per month, what a typical membership business can look like, and what a courses business can look like at 50K per month. And these are all real businesses that I've had the privilege of working with behind the scenes. And I'll share what they did well, what they hadn't yet figured out, and what you can do if this is your goal revenue for 2026. So please hit that follow button and tune in again next week. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week. Bye. Before you go, remember, if you're a course creator ready to scale with a team that actually gets what you do, we'd love to hear from you. We're not just running ads, we're helping you build your freedom empire with data-driven strategies that work specifically for online course businesses. If that sounds like what you've been looking for, head to thelaunchlounge.com/agency and apply. We only work with a small number of clients at a time, so if we're a fit, let's talk. That's thelaunchlounge.com/agency.